Oh, hey, how you doing? What am I doing? Fixing a leak. When I put this drain plug in, I remember how tight it was. Well, it's because it leaked and somebody made it so it didn't leak. Well, I've got to make it so it doesn't leak by draining the fluid, put new fluid in it, and some thread stuff. But I'm glad you come by because we're going to do a lot of details underneath here. Parking brake type stuff, some heat shield action on the exhaust, get that mounted in. A couple things with the dashboard and some control and cables and wires and boring stuff. But maybe, just maybe, remember I said maybe we'll have this thing moving under its own power. Yep. Thanks for coming back. Junk Excited Motive. Gotta get this thing out now. Weird square drive. Yeah. Well, that's good. So yeah, it appears someone at some point had some sealer on there, RTV type stuff. So we'll wire brush that off really good. It's a drain plug, by the way, and put a little hook and pucky or something on there. Maybe just some thread tape. I don't know. I think thread tape will work better since it's going to have fluid coming out of it nonstop until I put this back in forever and a day. Thread tape, right way and a wrong way. So since it screws in this way, we want the tape to rip off the opposite way. Otherwise it peels off as you're screwing it in. So I believe, yes. If I can get it on here. You guys ask for details, you're getting details. That's what we're all about here at Junks Automotive. Whatever the customer wants. And my buddies. You guys are the customer and my buddies. I'm gonna go around 3 or 4 several times. It's tapered thread, like tapered pipe thread type thing. And I just didn't get it tight enough, really. I'm pretty sure that would have done it if I could have just tightened it up, topped it off. But I'm gonna put a little bit of different old school differential fluid in it best I can. We're gonna do the same thing transmission. Change the fluid in that. Now, since the edge is, well, you can't see it, it's right about here. When I tighten it up, it'll stay on and not peel off as it goes in. See if we can put the fluid back in it. Just basic 80-90. This is GL5. It's supposed to be like a GL4, but this is not. My main thing is I didn't want it to be synthetic. I want it to be normal, old school. You know. I might have to rig me up some type of funnel system. Their differential filled up. Put thread tape on the plug and the fill plug. Right there is our pivot point for our parking brake cable, which we have hanging there. I have another piece outside drying that's basically like this. There's the pivot there that you see there, and it, you know, wiki woos on there, right? Well, I painted it. It's another pair of these, same exact thing, and the cable goes through here, and then each end of the cable goes, yeah, I'll show you, right? There's little pins and all that stuff. Drain the transmission because, well, I used, you know, modern gearbox fluid. Apparently it eats away at the brass synchros. Go figure. So I've got it drained out. There's our fill hole that goes through the tunnel, and yes, that's how you fill it. Way underneath the dash. Here's our dipstick, and your old regular straight 30 weight. That's what straight 30 weight engine oil is, what came in these gearboxes. And they say use whatever you use in your engine, which I'm using 540 synthetic, which I don't want to use 540 synthetic. I just want to use regular old motor oil for your lawnmower. Straight 30. That's all it is, right? Basic, non-detergent stuff. So let me get 2 3/4 quarts down in there and get that filled up, and we'll get back to that parking brake. Check this out. It's kind of neat. It works. Well, you know, static test. So here's the arm, comes through the floor. All good. Double nutted. Here's your adjustment. All right, this is threaded all the way through here. This isn't threaded, so this can just go loosey-goosey wherever. But I just double nut on the end where I happen to be just right, actually. So it goes on through, right around to the rear differential. It's got a little hanger here. This is a lube fitting, so you could grease your parking brake cable. Then it goes to this pivot. Now this pivot, when this cable pulls, it pulls this lever. It goes through and hooks to this brake, right? So this lever wants to go that way when it goes. Yes, so it'll go like this. Well, when it does, it pulls the other cable, since it's going that direction, pulls that cable, applies that brake. So there you go, parking brake. I thought it'd be a little harder than that, but I guess that's, you know, pretty simple. And I did grease this pivot real good because it's got a wiki-woo, 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 and then I greased this real good too because that pivots as well. So everything's all lubed up, good to go. I'll squirt some grease in there at some point for Ralph, and he'll never have to mess with it, probably, more than likely. But there we go. All right. Let me get out from underneath there. Let's do something different. Oh, ground wire for the, like I was saying, it's one wire, so it has to go to ground. This tank and these straps, the straps go all the way around the tank, and there's rubber between the strap and the tank so it doesn't rub through. Well, then it mounts up. Problem is, now it's just isolated in rubber from the body, so there's no ground. So I'm gonna run a ground wire from here to our ground wire that goes for our taillights and all that stuff. Hopefully that'll fix it. And now I'm gonna hang up some wiring down through here too while I'm here. There we go. Just added a ground to one of the mounting thingies, and it goes back and ties into the body ground for the lights and all that. And sure enough, as I suspected, it works. There's just a little bit of gas in it, so I'm pretty sure that's the dealio. It'll slowly go back down. Well, it will, trust me. There it goes. So anytime you have an old car, any old car, whether it's positive, earth, ground, backwards, forwards, 6 volts, if you have a single wire to your level unit, it depends on resistance to ground. So depending on where that float is, it changes the resistance, in which changes the gauge. So tank wasn't grounded to the body because it was so well insulated because the guy who installed it, you know, so there. All right, get the wheels back on this thing. Yes, I have to get tachometer cable, speedometer cable, and bolt that up. Then we'll bolt the steering column up. And then we'll be a cruising, honey. Well, forgot one thing. Mr. Heat Shield. So I've got it attached. One of the floorboard bolts was a little long, so poke a hole through it. Stainless steel hardware, lock washer, and a nut. Hopefully it doesn't rattle too much. If it does, we can Always mess with it. It's double layered right here where the two pieces come together. So we got stainless steel hardware, big washer on both sides, lock washer, or locking nut, excuse me. It's kind of holding it all together. We go self tapper right into the frame rail. That's not going anywhere. And then hose clamp up here on the front. Stainless steel hose clamp. And what you want to remember, of course, you don't want it touching the exhaust. Being close to it's okay. Just want an air gap. And you also want an air gap behind. Any kind of heat shield you ever looked at any kind of car has never been mounted flush up against anything. It's got an air gap behind it. Lets a little bit of airflow go through things so that, you know, you have that cushionary area. Cushionary? I just invented a new word. Cushionary. Cushionary. Okay. Well, now let's get the wheels on, get it on the ground. I got updates. It's all good though. Just kind of a pain. These big arthritic mitts just don't do stuff little like this, like you'll see. All right. Choke cable hooked up. It works. Throttle cable's hooked up. It works and returns. That return spring, I found the bracket that goes, you can almost see it where it's hooked up down there, little bracket, cleaned it up, painted it silver, I don't know, a couple weeks back, and it goes on the bottom carburetor bolt of the rear carburetor. So that was just a whole big pain in itself. So the little sheath or the little tubular thing that bolts to the bulkhead or the firewall, I had to put 2 screws in it, and my arms aren't long enough because the nuts are on the inside. So I used masking tape to hold them into place to get the nuts started and all that stuff. On the inside, there's also a return spring on the throttle. So the gas pedal, throttle pedal, whatever you want to call it, goes across, and there's a shaft that goes across and goes wiki, wiki, wiki. Well, there's a return spring in there too. So it's a double return spring situation. And we got return springs on the carburetors themselves right there. So 3 return springs. If anything happens and it just doesn't go, that's good. So long as it doesn't stick. That's the main thing. Moved fuel pressure line, or oil pressure, back where it belongs. There. And all this stuff isn't quite buttoned up yet, and I'm not too worried about it right now. I just want to kind of get it in place and kind of see where everything lies. If we have any problems, then it's okay to reroute now, you know, sort of things. Still not charging, last I checked anyway, so we'll get it running here in a minute. I want to, right now, since the fuel gauge works now, I've got cables ran to tachometer, speedometer, and whether they work or not, you saw the video on all that probably, fixing those gauges. If they don't work, they don't. We'll just have to find some other ones. But I'm ready to bolt this up. Dashboard bolted up, hopefully for the last time. And I don't have to get up underneath and, you know, then we can get a steering column in here. Yay. And it's right here. Here's the parts for it. There's the steering column, tubular, and the shaft all ready to go in, and the steering wheel. So let's get at it. I don't look half bad. This thing bolted up pretty good for having to replace those brackets that mount it. And this will get trimmed off on the ends and all that stuff. And there's brackets. I've got to make a couple brackets, I think 3, one for each end and one in the middle, just to keep it from, you know, wiggling around too much. But for the purposes that we're going to do tonight, it'd be just fine. All right, let me find a sweatshirt because it's getting a little chilly. Clean all this up and then put our steering. Wee. Sweatshirt. Yep. Got my parts laid out. We have a restored good steering column tube. New hardware here. This clamp actually cleaned up pretty nice. Telescoping. So we'll put it out here for Ralph. We'll put it down here for me. We can tighten up the nut and, you know, hold it in place. Evapor rust for the last 2 months, or whenever it is I took all this stuff apart. That stuff works. We're not going to have to use that one because I got a new one. They're pretty cheap. New ring. All the hardware, right, is in here, I believe. I hope. So we'll clean it up and see how good the hardware turned out. Hopefully we can just reuse it. Otherwise I'm digging again. I've been doing enough digging for hardware. Golly. And I hope that I have a picture of this before I took it apart. Probably not. Little plate goes at the bottom where it goes through the firewall. Got new rubber gaskets. Came with 2 in the bag. I don't know. Quantity 2. I think there was only 1. I don't know. We'll see. We'll get there. Let me drain this off first of all. See how that stuff looks. Good old evapor rust. There was the nut. That's the nut that holds the steering wheel on. I mean, look. That black residue, whatever. It pretty much most of it will spray off, but it's just ate the rust up. But I mean, you know, you can't beat that. About a month and a half, 2 months. If you got plenty of time to let it soak, get that evapor rust. I'm just going to reuse these bolts. This one's a little funny. I might have to find another because it had this locking nut. Anytime these locking nuts, boy, they lock because they tear the threads up when you take the nut off. So I think first thing I need to do is find my bolt for that, which I believe is something like this, and put it on the racking pinion because it won't fit through the hole. And then I'll find a picture of how to put all this stuff back together because I don't know. I don't know. Maybe MGA Guru will have a picture. Let's hope. Something else I should have done before I put that dash up there was mount those brackets that hold the steering column, because I can just barely get in here. Oh. It's pretty comfortable once you get in here. It's you know, cozy. I could probably take a nap if I had to. Hopefully I don't on accident. Always try to procrastinate as much as possible here at Junks Automotive, and then it's harder later. It's kind of neat under here, actually. Okay. Steering column. I think it's... Should I tighten these bolts? No, I'm going to wait. Make it harder later, you know. Another heater core. Oh, okay. So the brackets that hang here and there are bolted. The one that's easy to get to is tight. The one that's going to be hard to get to is loose. That way it can move around. So this area here needs to slide to that rubber bulkhead seal, right? And the hole is a whole lot smaller. So what I'm going to use, this is brake and suspension grease. So don't use regular grease on your rubbers, because regular grease will deteriorate it. It'll work, but so what I'm going to do is coat that on here, hopefully. That way it just goes bloop right in there, hopefully. It don't take much. This stuff really does work pretty good. All right, let's give it a shot. I got to try to hold my little spacers in there too at the same time without them falling out. Oh, another thing. Your bolt goes through there on the clamps for the U-joint, so that's got to be lined up when you splines it in, right? splines it. Yeah, splines it. Okay. Well, let's see if what happens. If I can get it started, and then I've got to find the coupler, find out where it's at so I can try to get it lined up the first time, because the splines aren't oh, there we go. They don't have a blind spline, so you can put it wherever. And then the bolt won't go in. So I'm turning the shaft and feeling with my fingers, hoping that I'm not wanting to ever do that again. Nope. I'm so tired of being underneath there, I'm not even putting that toe board in right now. We'll do that later. But all right, we got it hooked up, bolted up. This steering wheel, we are going to do a down and dirty restoration on it at some point. And I think Ralph was talking about sending the other steering wheel off to get rehooped and made smaller and get restored. He, you know, whatever he wants to do. But we'll do something fun with this here for too long. So let's get this thing fired up. Let it run a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can get the rest of the air out of it, out of here. I might jack it up a little bit and watch the coolant, see if we can get some. Anyhow, check all the choke and the starter and stuff, right? And then see if I need to sit on something. I probably don't. Ralph would have to. I've got the front seats and a couple of the seat rails that it bolts to the ground, I believe. So I thought about bolting it in just for, but I mean, look how, maybe a pillow or something. I don't know. Let's fire this thing up. drawing the brakes and the clutch. I think the clutch is starting to come out of it though, and parking brake works. Sounds a little like a tractor in first and reverse. It's kind of going away though. Let's see if I can't get second. Second. Can't drive this with boots on. Yep. I think the air will work out of that clutch. Kind of sounds like a Volkswagen. Tach works. I didn't pay attention to the speedometer. Yep, the speedometer's working. .65 psi in the old pressures. It's going about almost, I don't know, probably close to 200 degrees. I'll get out of this thing. Let's do a hot start. I do have heat up here at the heater core, so I believe it puked out some air. That could be why it was running a little hot, or it just needs a radiator. Who knows? Wow. Sorry I hit the horn. Can't ask for no better than that. Now, we're going to have to go over the valves again, which I already kind of knew once the valve started seating and doing, doing valve things. So we'll adjust those, figure out why it's not charging. Obviously, windshield, emblems, interior. But hey, we had fun, didn't we? Vroom, vroom, vroom. Now I can fire it up and move it around. It's going to be a whole lot nicer. We'll, figure out what we're going to do with wheels and tires here for too long. And that'll be a lot of fun too. I appreciate you guys popping in, hanging out with me for tonight. And do me a favor, if you're into this sort of thing, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, right? Let me know what you're working on. The email's always down there too if you just want to hit me with an email. All right, remember, any of this was easy, everybody be doing it. Peace. We'll see you guys next time. The birds are singing. It's late.